Hey guys, welcome back, finally. I apologize in advance for how late the reactions are going to be, but my really bad laptop, which I have not been able to afford to upgrade, is, it's not doing well. On top of that, my GoPro's on its way out, so everything is going to be very late, and since I have a toddler and I'm also coming up on 10 weeks pregnant, yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, I'm going to be reviewing the first 2 episodes of the Ahsoka series. First episode, Master and Apprentice. I have to say I was kind of distracted watching the first half of this episode because, as you're going to see in the reaction, we were constantly interrupted by the discomfort of a certain furry canine who apparently ate something she wasn't supposed to. Had to interrupt it right in the middle and take it to the vet. So that's why that's all chopped up. As such, I could not pay attention as much as I liked to some things. I got the story sort of in there, so I knew where it left off when I rewatched it this morning, but anyways. My favorite scene in the first episode was definitely Ahsoka fighting those droid guards when she was on that one crumbled Jedi temple world, locating the map, which by the way totally looks like a cross between a circle puzzle and the golden snitch from Harry Potter. But seeing her just kick butt with those droids, it was really satisfying and really fun. I always love watching Ahsoka kick some droid butt. As I couldn't pay that much attention to it, I do not know what my favorite piece of dialogue was like. I'm probably going to have to rewatch the episode all the way through to pick that out. Didn't have time today. Favorite character? Hera. She didn't show up that much in the first episode, but she's still, seeing her in live action is just plain fun. And my other favorite character? The Lothcat. The depiction of Lothal, the transition from animation to live action, is seamless, it's perfect, and the intrinsic Lothcats popping up every so often and just being pure cats it's a little bit of comic relief, and the cat just going brrr, brrr, reminds me of our cat. And oh my goodness, I'm kind of more concerned about the Lothcat than anyone else at this point, as horrible as that sounds. Now, technical scores on Master and Apprentice. I'm going to be scoring cinematography, music, acting, characters, and story. I did not score the acting in Kenobi, so we're going to start scoring acting in this because it's another component. I wish I could go as far as scoring other technical aspects like the costume, the production design, but that'd be getting a little bit too much into it, so we're going to keep this short. Cinematography, excellent. It was A+. So that's a 9.5 out of 10. Music, again, I love that they bring back little themes from the Rebels score, but in a more cinematic way. That's 9.5 out of 10. Acting was very good from what I've seen so far. I would call it, for the first episode, pretty much flawless, except for, I hate to say it, Sabine. Her delivery for her first couple scenes looked a little bit stilted, so acting gets a 9 out of 10. Otherwise, it would have been perfect. Characters, that was one of the weak points. Sabine in this first episode still seemed very immature, very much like a teenager, even though by the end of the war she was 23 years old. And at this point in the series, I believe she's supposed to be creeping up on 30, so she's acting very, very immature for her age. So, characters, 6 out of 10. Story, I don't know. It was definitely... The first episode is always hard. Some of them, like right from the first episode, dive headfirst in, like Mandalorian and Kenobi, even though it doesn't really get off the ground until the last like 10 minutes of the episode, or last 5 minutes. But this one was definitely the most stilted, I guess, and sort of, not so good for the first episode, so that was 6.5 out of 10, giving episode 1 of Ahsoka, Master and Apprentice, a final score of 8.1 out of 10. Still good, but more so on the technical aspects than the all-important story, which admittedly has to be the best part of Star Wars. Well, the story and the music. So, now moving on to episode 2 of Ahsoka, Toil and Trouble. like double toil and trouble, since one of them's apparently a witch of Dathomir, even though she's human, which makes no sense. I mean, from anything I saw, Asajj Ventress was the only survivor of the massacre of the witches of Dathomir, and everyone else was a freaky ghost. So what is a human doing calling herself a witch of Dathomir? Beats the living heck out of me. But my favorite scene in this episode is seeing Sabine back. Sorry, the dog's scratching her collar. Seeing Sabine back in her armor, that almost gave me chills. It's so faithful to the animated series. It was great. And her helmet too, that was awesome. My favorite piece of dialogue was definitely when Sabine was trying to basically hotwire a droid's head, but there was a danger of it blowing up because it was overheating. And the droid that hangs out with Ahsoka is sort of a former Jedi droid. He's he's not as much as an alarmist as 3PO, but he's still pretty funny, a little sense of comedy relief. And as they're debating over it, Hera says, "I say go for it." And the droid goes, "That's because you're a hologram." That definitely cracked me up. Again, my favorite character in this episode, Hera. She's still the quintessential space mom, and I love her for it. And we also get to see her piloting with good old Chopper. Chopper's the same, which he's brutal, but he's definitely there when they need him. And seeing Hera and Chopper with their chemistry together and the flying, that was so enjoyable to see. A close second has got to be, obviously Ahsoka fighting anybody with a lightsaber, even though it was pretty brief. Cinematography gets a 9.5 out of 10. Music also 9.5 out of 10. Both of those are like the stars of the series so far. Acting is also still very good, 9 out of 10. Characters, a little bit stronger this round. Sabine honestly doesn't seem to have changed like at all between the end of Rebels and now. So she's still that loner who wants to do things her own way. So characters get 7.5 out of 10. Story, slightly better, another 7.5 out of 10, and that gives episode 2 of Ahsoka, Toil and Trouble, 8.6 out of 10. There's two things that annoy me most about this series so far, and that's there's been literally no mention of Kanan. We've seen the mural of him, but he hasn't even had his name mentioned. Like, okay, was he a joke to you? Come on, so show some respect for the guy who sacrificed his life to save you, Hera. Sabine, the father of your child, Hera? Speaking of which, are we ever going to see Jason Syndulla? We better see that guy, see that kid. Even though at this point he's probably like, what, 10 years old? Still, I have got to see Hera and Kanan's kid. I want to know what his personality's like. The only time we saw him was for like 4 seconds, and he was a 4-year-old enjoying flying with his mom. That's literally it. I want to see some Jason Syndulla. The other thing, I think I could accept, they've already talked about Sabine's ability being basically bare minimum. Probably technically not enough to be called an actual Jedi. And I'm glad they explained the lightsaber is Ezra's. But the idea of Sabine being a full-fledged Force user just doesn't sit right with me. I'm fine with her being like a do-good crusader who's good with a lightsaber, but the Force ability part, no, just, to me, that, I've said it before, that takes away from Kanan's abilities, so just don't do that. Anyway, guys, that's been my Clumsy Jedi review of the first 2 episodes of the Ahsoka series. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, please go ahead and click that little subscription button down below, and don't forget to check out the links in the description box. Question of the day, what do you like most so far about the series, and where do you think it's headed? My personal prediction is that there's going to be some showdown with Thrawn that's going to have a clever lead-in to the First Order that's going to pop up, and, with the lead into The Force Awakens and the sequel trilogy, we're going to find out what's happened to Ezra. My personal thought is that that long hyperdrive thing sort of made him turn to the dark side perhaps, and we may end up seeing a parallel. This is my personal prediction, seeing a parallel of Jason and Jaina from the Legends with Sabine and Ezra. And if you know the Legends, you know how that ended. It would be heartbreaking and also come to a conclusion that would probably be like crushing. However, that's my general feeling of where this series is going to go. I don't know what's going to happen to Ahsoka, don't know what's going to happen to anybody else. It could very well end on a downer because this is during the age of the New Republic. This is probably 15-ish years, I'm guessing, before, not 15, probably about 10-ish years before Force Awakens. Not that anyone's counting, but just a general guess of mine. So, and we all know where that goes. So, I will see everybody probably in the late reaction video whenever that gets posted. Can't make any promises. And until then, stop eating me. And until then, this is the Clumsy Jedi and her mouthy puppy dog signing off. Yes, I love you too.
Do what must be done. Do not hesitate. Show no mercy. Crush the rebellious subscribe button and turn on notifications. Do it.